And yo, guess what? We are live. The Sports Bag Bros podcast is coming back to you on a Monday. Coming back to you on a Monday. Look at that, getting tongue-tied because there's not much going on this past weekend. There isn't any more NFL football to hang our hat on. So we got to go all over the sports dial to come up with something that's worth talking about. Nevertheless, this isn't static. It continues to go. So whether we're going to follow it or not, sports continues to go on. What's good?
What's happening? Along what you're talking about, going up and down the dial, not a whole lot, especially since I don't want to say I boycott all NBA All-Star Weekend. I'm just not interested in NBA All-Star Weekend. I haven't been for years. But I do have to say, the clips I saw of McClung, though, that shit was impressive.
Yeah, that's true.
I just didn't watch it live.
Exactly. I didn't watch it live. I heard about it, but then it was such a different kind of dunk that it was on feeds that aren't even sports feed. You know, people come and just throw things online and they pass it through, and even some kind of news stations will put something like that on because it was unusual, and it was something to look at. I mean, yeah, good. And I know some people was like, look at the white guy do it. Well, that did add a little bit more to it, but it was an unusual feat, and he completed it.
He's back-to-back champion, isn't he?
Yeah, back-to-back.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be a surprise this year if he did it last year. I think the big thing is, like, if Anthony Davis was in it, if John Morant was in it, you know, if NBA players who are so athletically gifted were in it, I'd be interested. I'd love to see Anthony go up against John Morant. And not saying that they can outdunk McClung, but I still rather see the stars do it than bringing the guy who's not even in the league.
You know, exactly. That's what it is now. I know they were teasing it a little earlier in the season about LeBron and his son doing it. I mean, well, his son is hardly in the league either, going back to the G League every damn time. But at least it would have added a little bit more to it. And I hate that John Morant is always teasing it but not doing it. And we all know he's one of the best dunkers in basketball.
Yeah, and he can bring out big-ass lurch Zach Edey and see if he can jump over him.
Yeah, Zach Edey, right?
You know, if he jump over Zach Edey, now that's impressive.
And that's the damn truth because you could get him and you can get Zach Edey or you get even Wemby. That's even more impressive.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Two guys with 2-inch verticals.
I don't know if that one can be done, Wemby.
Nah, Wemby's just way too tall. You might as well just camp out on the rim. You know, that's about it, man, because he's just one of those just tall. And they're getting taller.
Speaking of Wemby, it might have been a couple of weeks ago. Did you see the block shot he got? Some dude thought he was cooking. He did a spin around in the lane, and he went to throw a floater, and Wemby blocked it without even jumping and snatched the ball away from him. Like it was like a dad playing with his 8-year-old son. Like, give me that ball. I was like, yo, I ain't never seen no shit like that. It was wild.
And you're going to see a whole lot more from Wemby doing the same thing to these seasoned vets or no names or whoever the hell it is. They may get a name because he had done it to them. He's just a freak of nature. At his age now, 20 years old, this is still the complete infancy of his NBA career. He's already an all-star, pretty much an all-pro this early in his career. Aside from injury, I hope injury doesn't happen to him like you hope it doesn't happen to other players either. But, man, the way he's going about just showing the improvement just from year one to now, such monumental improvement. This is not incremental. It's not exponential. It's monumental. And he's doing as well as he's doing now, so it leads you to believe that even next season he should be on even another level. But, yeah, the NBA, you bring these guys out, and I know I heard Giannis talk about, now if you make it the world versus the USA, then I'll have more incentive to go out there and do something, show who he is. But then I think about it, well, you know, you're from, I think he's from Nigeria, then he went to Greece, and now he's an American citizen. But would he play for Greece again under a scenario like that?
I mean, if it's an all-star game, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind if he did it, but I wonder if he felt some kind of a loyalty.
Because then you're talking, he'll have Luka and Jokic and you know all the foreigners playing against USA.
You know what? And I tell you what, though, that
they probably win.
That's what I was thinking too. we talk about how the players outside of the United States, whether it's in Europe or even Australia, how they play more of that fundamental basketball, more team basketball, whereas over here, they're so damn athletic, but they're isolationists. They just play to appease one another, and so someone can have a highlight on ESPN or somewhere else. They'll score 40 points and don't care if their team is down by 40. They'll mean mug somebody over a dunk when they're down by 30. All of that. That's what happens over here. Over there, they play as a team. And that's the reason why the U.S. does have some problem when they go overseas and play against some of these teams during the Olympics or international play.
Yeah. And because most NBA players are not going to college for 2, 3, 4 years.
Yep, that's true.
They're not being coached up. Their fundamentals are not what they used to be. They have raw athletic ability, and maybe they can shoot a little bit, maybe they can jump a little bit, maybe they can dribble a little bit, but do they know how to set a proper screen, how to roll to the basket, proper footwork to use on defense, help defense, and all those things? It's lacking.
And with Overtime Elite, I'm kind of wondering if they really know if they even playing high school basketball. You look at AAU, is that really high school basketball, or is it just free for all, everyone who's talented playing on the same team, and it just turns out to be whatever it is because everybody's trying to get to the NBA anyway, so your AAU team may get you to a year in college if you're that good, and then you end up going to the NBA, or you just go play Overtime Elite, or you go somewhere overseas just to get it out of the way, and that's your buffer between high school and the pros, no college play, and then you come back over and you eventually get drafted. That's just how the NBA has been. On the other hand, years ago at least, you had Shane Battier, who did the 4-year thing at Duke, coached by one of the greatest coaches of all time, and Coach K, and then all these high school kids went in front of him, and then when he does play and has his career, he's pretty much what these GMs thought he would be. Not as good as the guys, or at least some of the guys that ended up going as high school players.
Yeah, but he had a solid pro career.
Well, he had a solid pro career.
He was very good defensively. He could knock down some shots. Had he left when he was a sophomore, I don't know if he has the career he did because he would not have developed his skills the way he did. And while you were talking, I was thinking, are there how many teacher coaches out there nowadays? Before Hubie Brown, he retired. He was a teacher, but like, where's Larry Browns? God rest his soul, Dean Smith.
John Thompson,
John
taught from the ground floor.
I mean, as much as I hated him, even Bobby Knight was a teacher.
Lute Olson, just go down the list of old school coaches who actually taught the game of basketball. Rick Pitino teaches the game of basketball, so he's doing it at another place this time in St. John's, but he certainly showed how well he can teach going to Iona and bringing them just out of the mud and becoming a pretty formidable top-end team. They upset a few of these 1A programs who are well-known along the way when Rick Pitino was there. Now that he's gone, that's not happening at Iona anymore. So, yeah, it does matter to have these skills refined. I was thinking more of Tyson Chandler and how he came out of that mix the same year as Shane Battier, and he had more than a solid NBA career. I mean, he had a better career than Tyson Chandler, but that's the exception, not necessarily the rule. We've seen some guys come out, Kevin Garnett, you can point to these superstar kind of guys, or Amari Stoudemire, who turned out to be, didn't have to go to college, didn't have to go to college, do well, and then go to the NBA and have an excellent career outside of injuries.
Now there's a guy I think who really would have benefited from going to college and being taught by
Amari Stoudemire?
Yeah, because if he had if he worked with Akeem Olajuwon, he was already a monster inside. But if he had that footwork, you wouldn't have been able to do nothing with him.
Nothing with him.
Or if he developed a mid-range jumper or if he could take you off the dribble. If he had a complete game, Amari Stoudemire was already a monster.
Yeah, he was.
But, you come to the league and you're right in the bench and, you're trying to get out there and get as much playing time as you can. How much were his skills really developed?
And that's true. He went off raw skill overall, just raw athletic ability. And injury turned out being the biggest thing in his career because talent-wise, he was just getting better and better as the seasons went by. But then there was always those freaking injuries that sat him down. He won't get into the Hall of Fame because of the injuries, but based on if he did not have the injuries, and then when we saw what he did when he wasn't injured, he's Hall of Fame worthy, or would have been Hall of Fame worthy talent-wise as a talent. But yeah, but this is what we have now. It is not even exciting to watch college basketball anymore. I don't think I've really sat down and watched college basketball. We're talking about, or at least I've seen people talking about UConn getting upset by Villanova or Seton Hall. Are those even upsets anymore? Because UConn has lost enough games this season anyway to anyone beating them is no longer an upset unless it was someone like Iona. But in any event, if they're not winning another national championship this year, I think that's etched in stone. But does anyone really care? They did back-to-back. They're not going to get a three-peat, just like the Kansas City Chiefs didn't do it in the NFL. But college basketball just isn't the same. So much so, Alabama and Auburn, number 1 and 2 in basketball. What the hell is going on there? Well, at least were until Alabama just lost to Auburn. Now Florida gets to number 2.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was flipping through the channels the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but it was 2 teams who you don't think as top 10 basketball programs in college.
Mm-hmm.
It was like number 3 versus number 9. I was like, really?
Well, Iowa State somewhere in there. It's another team.
I can't remember who it was, and I'm not trying to throw shade at any program. I'm just saying, just like the NBA isn't what it used to be, neither is college. I even try and watch the team I like, North Carolina State, and they're not all that good this year. You know, they made it to the Final Four. It was like another Cinderella run, but even watching their games, I can't get excited about.
Well, the only thing I kind of get a little excited about is seeing that John Calipari is finally playing with just good or decent or not so good players, and his true colors are showing. His teams aren't winning. I've always said it from years ago that John Calipari, if he has an NBA roster, well, he's going to win a national championship, and sometimes that's not guaranteed. He's finally gone somewhere at Arkansas that doesn't have as great of players as he was getting at Kentucky, probably not even as good as players he had at UMass, and he's not winning, and he's complaining, and that's what I like seeing. Calipari upset when he was at Memphis. At least he had Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, and everybody talked about how sketchy that was with Derrick Rose getting in there. It doesn't matter. But when he has his star players, he's another one who I don't think is a teacher. If he has top players, he's going to win. He's proven that. Guys who are teachers, they don't have to have the top players. They just have to have the right players in their system, and that system forges its way to a championship game or even a championship like Rick Pitino has done in the past.
You know, he did a decent job at UMass. He didn't have a lot of stars there.
Yeah, he had Marcus Camby there. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But how long was Camby there?
Camby there for a little while. Well, I don't think he was there too long as far as being at UMass before he went to Kentucky. His legacy, or so-called legacy that he has, was made at Kentucky when he started getting those big-name players.
That's true, but what I'm saying is what he did at UMass earned him the right to go to Kentucky.
And that's true. And you know, sometimes when you're picking a coach, I don't know if it's just based on ability or is it just part of the network you're in. You know, you go to these coaches' conferences and you see these coaches all in the lobby. You get to know the right person. You may just end up getting that job when the opportunity comes. A lot like the NFL. You get these coaches that when you finally get your job, and then they start purging coaches from other teams and bringing them onto your team, or these coaches you think you never heard of before, they become someone on a new coach's team. You're like, where did this guy come from? He doesn't have that much of a resume, but because he knows this guy, he's going to get the opportunity. I don't know if that completely the way with Calipari. It's just, I never thought he was that great of a coach. I mean, because look, from what he was at UMass, I think that could have been a lifer job. I know you're supposed to progress, but he couldn't make that team the type of teams he ended up having, even at Memphis. So that's why I've always been on that bandwagon of Calipari is probably not that great a teacher as much as they think he is, based on having the championship that he has with Kentucky, because he also got it with those kind of Kentucky players.
Yeah, I see your point. I don't know if I would bash him that hard. And then Pitino,
that's my guy right there.
You remember him with the Knicks?
Yeah, I remember him with the Knicks.
Remember that game he got thrown out and he was hiding in the tunnel trying to watch
Man, Rick, I don't know, man. You know, if anyone who grew up around my age area when Rick Pitino was coming through, man, you just have a thing for Rick Pitino. Of course, he's a New Yorker, man, but you just follow Rick Pitino. If you follow any kind of basketball and you ran with Rick Pitino when he was coaching with the Knicks, you just ran with Rick Pitino. Remember, Billy Donovan's from that Rick Pitino staff. You know, so you know he's a teacher and he continued to just lend his knowledge on to pass it on to the next guy. And Billy Donovan, now Hall of Fame as well, isn't he?
Billy Donovan?
Yeah, I think
I don't know, but this calls for him to get fired from the Bulls. It's not his fault, man. The Bulls are a wreck. They haven't given him much to work with, so I can't throw shade at Billy Donovan.
Oh, nah. You know, also being young and watching Rick Pitino, well, coming down here to Florida and seeing, well, Billy Donovan and actually being one of the executive producers on his show being released here in Jacksonville. I got a chance to, you know, his show that he had, his Gator Hotline that he was on. So, yeah, just listening to how he speaks and just knowing he has that New York accent so you know what he's doing. And then to see how he's put those teams together, back-to-back Gator championships. So, yeah, I'm always going to respect Billy Donovan. You know, I know the Scott that we had him before, he's a big-time Gator fan, and he just loyal to Billy Donovan. But I think every Gator fan is because that's the only time you're going to get a championship. They're number 2 now, so they may get another one. But either way, Billy Donovan, I can rock with him. Rick Pitino, certainly that guy.
Dwight Howard versus Rudy Gobert in a fight.
In a fight, not a game. Come on, man. Dwight Howard beat that dude down in the game.
Yeah, we need some clarification because he normally posed boxing questions. And now he's saying versus, like, does he mean the fighting or what happens in the post?
He usually tries to hijack the show with his basketball questions. So when we're talking boxing, he still throws basketball out there. So, but Rudy Gobert and who's better? Yes, who's better?
By far, Dwight Howard's better.
Dwight Howard, because you had offense and defense with him. Rudy Gobert is pretty much just defense.
In his prime, if Dwight Howard got the ball within 3 feet of the rim, he's going to throw it down. Gobert misses layups 3 feet from the rim. So.
Yeah, so that's what we're getting with that. But yeah, so we do have the NBA Hall of Fame, right? Carmelo Anthony got in.
Did he? I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I think Carmelo Anthony got in. I mean, rightfully so.
Of course.
He was as guaranteed a bucket as you can get. He just didn't play any defense. You know, him and KD, as far as guaranteed buckets over the past 15, 20 years, those are the 2 guys.
Who else got in?
Let me see. I didn't even check. I know. Well, they got some girls, some women got in there, but you know, I ain't gonna start. But let me see who else got in there. Let me check and see. Yep.
And Carmelo Anthony should have Rookie of the Year on his resume. He was robbed.
But they gave it to LeBron. And he had more points than LeBron as well.
He was, I do believe he was Rookie of the Month every month of the season. And now how he doesn't become Rookie of the Year after that is beyond me. I don't get it.
But you know how it goes and how it's been. So, and they're still on that LeBron bandwagon now. I don't know why. They got all the juice out of it, whatever.
Yeah, and then what's up with LeBron saying a couple hours before the game he's not going to play? I saw people up in arms about that.
I mean, really? Like, why? Who cares? Really? I mean,
I didn't mind. I wasn't tuning in anyway, but I saw people whining on the morning shows talking about if he gave enough notice, somebody else could have gone and played, and he would still have it on his resume. He is an all-star, even if he doesn't play, this and that. But I'm like, can you really be surprised? I mean, it's LeBron. He's always been a bitch.
So we got some. Well, it says alphabetical order. I guess they will be known. The final. Let me see. Said final 4, but it'll be announced in April. Let's say Naismith Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame announces 2025 finalists. Okay, so in the North American Committee finalists, the alphabetical order, they do have Carmelo Anthony there and Danny Crawford, Billy Donovan, Mark Few, which is, people don't think too much about him because he's a college coach, but he's
now which Hall of Fame is this?
This is the Naismith, the NBA Hall of Fame. Because remember the Naismith Hall of Fame.
But how does Mark Few get in?
Huh?
How does Mark Few get
No,
in?
that's what I'm saying. The NBA Hall, it's not the NBA Hall of Fame.
It's
It's the
not the
Naismith Hall of
NBA.
Fame.
Okay,
So anybody from
I
high
got you.
school,
Okay, yeah. I got you.
Shirley's father's in there, So as a high school coach, he was damn sure dominant as a high school coach. But Mark Few, yeah, he's in there. Billy Donovan's another one who's up. Dwight Howard, we know he's getting in. Jerry Welsh and Buck Williams, they're in as well. So Buck Williams, old school Buck Williams. But anyways,
Buck
yeah. So
Williams, good player, but I don't know if
he won't get. He probably won't get in, not this time. But I can see his name up there at least.
Who did you say before Buck?
You see Buck, Jerry Welsh, well, he's a coach, and Dwight Howard's a player.
Oh, I don't know him. Dwight Howard's not a Hall
and
of
Marcus
Famer,
Johnson, another player.
Dwight Howard's not a Hall of Famer in my opinion either.
He's not?
No.
Wow.
You gotta do it more. You gotta do it more than 4 or 5 years. And then if you continue to play and you play at a low level, that hurts your case.
And then people look at the back injury, and then you look at the top 50 players of all time. Didn't they have him on the list as well? And if you're on that top 50 list, they're looking at you.
He wasn't in the top 50.
He wasn't the top 75, was it? The top 75 list?
He might have been 75. He definitely wasn't top 50. That was
not top 50. So even with the top 75 list, I think you got to be in the Hall of Fame. And I think
put it this way: is Penny Hardaway going to the Hall of Fame?
You know what? That's another one with the injuries, but Penny was just nasty to death, man. Penny was
10 times the player Dwight Howard.
Yeah, man, Penny was. I don't even think if you didn't watch Penny or you didn't grow up at a time when Penny was coming out and going there to Orlando, you just don't know. You just don't know. You just go by. He didn't play often enough. He didn't do this at the right time and all that. Or he had Shaq, bro. That guy was legit, completely legit. Now I don't know about his coaching now at Memphis, but playing as well as he did as an NBA player, wow. Is he a Hall of Famer? I think the longevity factor, because with Dwight Howard, he probably didn't do it for a long period of time, but I think he has that block of time. He did it well, but he hung around the NBA long enough to get that time in. So when you look at it, at the end of the day, 15 years. Wow,
Kwame Brown hung around the NBA for a long time too.
Kwame, yeah, he was getting money when it was pretty much a bench player, which pretty much started his rookie year. But yeah, Kwame Brown was around.
You can't just hang around and be considered.
But you heard Dwight Howard's name a lot too when he was playing, because he ended up going to the Lakers. He still had the back problem, but you heard his name enough, I guess.
Kobe wanted to fight him, so they got rid of him.
Damn, yeah. Kobe wanted to fight everybody. What's going on?
Yeah, well, if you weren't willing to put in effort and work like Kobe, he wasn't gonna like you.
Yeah, that's true. He should have been fighting Shaq too, for that matter. I mean, they had their back and forth, man, but I guess he chose his battle.
Like when they called him selfish, he's like, I'm not selfish, but if I know you show up 5 minutes before practice and you're gone as soon as practice is over, why am I going to pass you the ball? You ain't working on your game.
I heard about that. I heard they said Kobe's like, yo, why should I give the ball to them, man? They don't put it in work.
If he had confidence in somebody, yeah, he'll pass them the ball. But all these dudes, they don't work. I ain't passing them the ball, so I can't be mad at him.
Yeah, that's true. And the kind of dog he was, and sometimes you alienate your teammates or friends, and in life period when you're trying to be the best at whatever it is you're trying to be the best at. Family gets alienated on occasion. I'm looking at MJ. He kind of sacrificed his family to be as great as he was, fighting for players, hitting teammates. We know about the story there. I mean, not that that's the way to do it, but we can see how those guys who end up being those legendary names, those immortalized players in every sport, made that kind of a sacrifice. And they probably aren't the best teammate, or you might not get the best stories hearing about them after their seasons are over, after their career is over.
So I don't know why I thought of this. I guess because we're talking about Kobe, Lakers, and whatnot. But maybe we have to come up with a list of 5 women Luka should not date.
Angel Reese.
4 of them are Kardashians. I don't know, however many Kardashians there are.
I don't even keep up with
They're all on the list. Stay away from them, Luka.
Man, I thought he had some girlfriend out there in Europe somewhere. I mean, aren't they a little bit better than some of the women that are over here who just do whatever they can, get an OnlyFans account? If they don't have an OnlyFans account, they're aspiring OnlyFanists. I don't know what the heck it is. I think he has better options.
Speaking of Angel Reese, did you see what Lisa Leslie told her?
No, I did not.
So Lisa Leslie was on her podcast, and she asked her something about what is the best advice you could give me for my game? Something along those lines. And she told her, we're going to fix how you shoot layups.
Bro, you saw that. That's outright shade, but it's outright true. She misses the layups pretty damn often. That's why she had all those damn rebounds.
I'm like, well, I mean, if you watch her shoot layups, she just kind of throws them up.
Throws
She's
it up
not
there.
really shoot. She's hoping she gets fouled or she's hoping they go in. So I don't think it's that hard to correct. Like, if you're here at the basket, aim for the square, hit the square, go for the square on the backboard.
Isn't that what they teach you at basketball camps when you're a little kid? Hit the square. And now she's still trying to hit the square, or did she just decide that that's the right way to do it? I don't know, man. You know, you compare men to women, and you just see it almost looks generic every time it comes down to it. You look at the NBA, then you look at the women, no matter how great the women are in their own area, gender, and it just looks it's slower because it's supposed to be slower, but it just looks so generic. You know, you get a high school team that moves up and down the court very well and does very well, like Monteverde down here in Florida. You know, that had NBA players on it. You know, when they were high school players, they could beat the WNBA team, and they looked a lot smoother than these games we watched in the WNBA, whether it was the championship game or another high-profile game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Middle fingers. Asia Wilson.
Asia Wilson. Always somebody coming from the abyss.
They just dropped her Nike shoes, and word is that she has known this for close to 2 years. So last year when Caitlin Clark was getting the Nike shine, she was loud about, well, why is she getting shine? What about the rest of us? But she already knew she had her shoe coming out. So what kind of bullshit agenda did you have?
We know what kind of BS agenda, the same agenda we talked about last season when it became more than just basketball. It was so obvious they just wanted somebody to hate. And she had the complexion to hate. And she happened to be good at the same time. We know what these people are up to, these BSers, these having these agendas, and they're activists that happen to play basketball. That's what they are. Doing nonsense, always doing nonsense, always want to be looked at as a victim. The same story all the time, nothing new. God, that's you know this, and you still go about it as if there's nothing going on because you see people on one side are piling on, and they're making it seem as if, well, these other women opened the door for her and they're not getting anything, and you're just sitting on yours until now.
Right. But I see the Fever have signed Dewana Bonner. And I can't remember the quote, but it was something like, no one's going to fuck with us. Okay. So, like, the way I take that is nobody's fucking with Caitlin Clark no more.
Well,
we'll see, but that's how I interpret it.
They'll just say things sometimes, and it sounds good in the off season, but when it's time to show and prove, when the pressure's really coming, because, look, I think that she should be better, just like we were talking about how Wemby got better from year one to year two. Well, that's typically what happens. You're going to make your best improvement from year one to year two. If she gets any better than what she's been, which is likely, she's going to be just as big a problem. Now we're talking MVP of the league, she can't be rookie of the year again, but being the best player in the league. So they'll be coming after her, and they just don't care about what we're saying.
And I think she finished 4th or 5th last year in MVP voting.
And she deserved every vote she had gotten. But it was
consider she was playing on short rest, going to the finals in college, Rodman versus Angel Reese.
Even right now, Rodman wins the game. Come on, even right now, Rodman at 6 years old, he wins the game against Angel Reese. Come on, man. It was like they were talking about Dijon when he was supposed to play Caitlin Clark. You know, Dijon from the Philadelphia Eagles played against Caitlin Clark. Bro, guess what? He probably destroyed her as well. That dude's a hell of an athlete. Well, we saw enough of that in the Super Bowl. But even before that, I mean, he's just a heck of an athlete. Plays him fast, has a hell of a vertical. He's just
but he has to have some basketball skills, or he's not winning that.
Well, from what I heard, he does have basketball skills.
I don't care how athletic you are.
No, I'm saying, but from what I hear, he does have basketball skills. He just play basketball.
All right, I'm just saying. Look, you're not going to take a dude who won the decathlon and never shot hoops. You'd be like, all right, go beat Caitlin Clark.
You know what? And I take that.
It ain't happening.
It ain't happening. True. but he had that basketball background. I believe in high school he played basketball. Now, if he hadn't played anything else, man, I look at him just as well as I look at anybody else, man. You think you're going to just rough her up and whatever else, because that's all you can do. But with him, who has played basketball, at least in a high school level, and from what I've always said, that the top high school players who were good enough to go straight from high school to the NBA in the past, they don't allow it anymore as a rule. That's why I don't think any WNBA player could go into the NBA, because no one's asking them to come into the NBA. And if they could, I think the NBA, even for a publicity stunt, would have allowed them to do it by now. And they just can't. They can't cut it. They can't even go to the G League. But we knew that they were high school players going into the NBA, even if it had taken them a year or two or maybe three to finally get it going. Like Kobe took about 2.5, 3 years before he became the Mamba.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to understand that was like the year or 2 years after KG, where high schoolers were not expected to come in and contribute
and do anything right. Exactly, they weren't, but they were at least looked at as projects. I don't think there's a woman, even in the top college basketball ranks right now. USC just beat UCLA. I don't think anyone on either team, the NBA, is saying, you know what? How about we just draft her? Let's wait 5 years and see how it works out. She would never get off the bench. She'll end up in the G League and stay there, and probably get cut from the G League, like Bronny should be getting right now. But well,
yeah. And since you mentioned it, I gotta admit, I check on Juju once in a while to see how she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I know how talented she is. Her game may be more complete than Caitlin Clark's, just without the logo shooting. You know, she's bigger too, so it's easier for her to block shots and whatnot. But if she stays 4 years, she might threaten that record.
You know what? The way the money's coming up now with the television deal coming, I don't think it's a good idea for these girls to stay the entire time. They should be able to have the same opportunity as NBA players have. The reason why they don't do it now, because the money wasn't there for them to do it, even though it is more than they're getting now as players, or more than they got back then as players in college, as opposed to what's going on now. But when they get that big money and then the salaries are a whole lot bigger, it makes much more business sense, endorsement-wise and otherwise, especially after Caitlin Clark has done what she's done. It's easier for them to now leave in their sophomore years than junior years.
I think I have to amend my previous statement. It may not be more complete. Her game may not be more complete than Caitlin's, because she doesn't pass like Caitlin. But Juju's defense is better, but she's also a couple inches taller.
Yeah,
I think she had 6 blocks in that UCLA game the other day.
Man, she's doing a little Wemby of her own.
Yeah, she dropped 38, I think, and I don't remember her rebounds and assists, but she had 6 block shots, I believe.
Wasn't there a player who just scored 55 points in the game this past weekend?
I didn't see.
In women's basketball, I know I saw the number, but I didn't even think to remember who it was. Kind of let you know what I'm thinking about college basketball and the women's level. I don't know, man. Look, looking at Caitlin Clark and what she had done at Iowa, that was the reason why I at least started paying attention to college basketball on the women's side. I watched it intermittently in the past, but never really tried to commit anyone to memory. And then when Caitlin Clark came, she just came like a firestorm, and she left you no choice but to remember or acknowledge what she was doing. So, and it carried on to the WNBA. So that's the reason for that season. But anyway.
But I was going to say, you mentioned Caitlin Clark being better her sophomore season in the pros. If you remember, she took her team to the finals, and then the draft was maybe like a month later. Then the season started like a month after that. She didn't really get a big break. And if you recall, she was missing shots she normally hit, or shots that she would make at Iowa. And I believe that was due to being fatigued. You know, she didn't have full strength in her legs. Then they had the Olympic break.
She came back and started kicking it.
She came back and she looked like the old Caitlin.
Yep.
So now she's had an entire offseason, and she's not playing in that bogus 3-on-3 league. I saw they had a 1-on-1 tournament too. I only know about it because I see it on YouTube. This lady versus that lady. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Who wants to watch?
But I don't click on it, but I know about it. So I expect her to have a big season next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And in addition to that, just like the men, she's going into the weight room and building her body as well for an entire WNBA season as well. I don't think she had a chance to really do that going from playing college ball, going into the draft and playing WNBA. Even that little break, that break was more of a complete rest. So she's not even trying to lift. She's not even trying to work on her game. But then when you start the season back up after the Olympic break, she goes back to playing basketball. You're not really lifting too much and trying to stay strong for the entire season. But now she has an off season of workouts, probably a personal trainer, and she's looking to just compound what she did last year, do it even better in her sophomore year. So yeah, man, I'm kind of sort of looking forward to that. I'm trying not to let all of this nonsense on the outside affect how you feel one way or another about Caitlin Clark, the political nonsense, the type of narratives people wanted to draw towards her. Nonsense. It's all out the way now. It's something to look at now just to see if she can capitalize on being a better player, a much better player than she was last year. And if she's a much better player than last season, shoot, that's the MVP right there. But I know they'll be fighting Claude and everything else and say she's not, but I can see her doing it. So, yes, that's the WNBA. We spent a lot of time on that with the WNBA not even being around. Football, as much as football is over with and the Super Bowl has been won by the Philadelphia Eagles in blowout fashion, dominant fashion, the NFL still rules the roost, and there are still things in the NFL that people are talking about. Here in Jacksonville in particular, they were talking about a rumor that just started with Trevor Lawrence possibly going to the Steelers. His agent called him. He said it felt like a gut punch when he heard the news, but his agent told him, nah, he doesn't think there's anything to it. And now you have the coach talking about that there's nothing to it. I don't know. For Trevor's sake, I hope not. He thinks he could win a Super Bowl here in Jacksonville. They gave him a $275 million contract. Of course, he won't see every penny, but it's a $275 million commitment to him. He wants to try to win a Super Bowl here. I think they got pieces to at least do something during the season. This past season was just an absolute mess.
Well, they're going to have to draft well. They're going to have to hit free agency, and they're going to have to come together under their new coach. Yeah. And with the Texans, CJ Stroud going into his third season, I think they're going to be hard to bump off the top of that division.
If those two are going to battle it out, because we know what's going to happen in Indianapolis. Richardson is not going to be a good quarterback because he has not been a good quarterback. I think he's been an absolute bust. He's going to be shown to be even a bigger buster where they would just bench him, just cut their losses after next season if that's what it takes, and move on to someone else who can actually get the job done. I don't think he's going to show any real improvement or any improvement at all. I mean, he has to show immense improvement just to get away from what he's been doing the past 2 seasons when he's not injured. But anyways, yeah, the NFL's still going on, and your son's boy or from your son's team, Justin Tucker, bro, what is going on here? More women coming out about this massage parlor deal.
Really? I haven't seen anything. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, another one comes out. Matter of fact, it says misconduct allegations. 7 more massage therapists come out about him. Man, I don't know what's going on. Him, Deshaun Watson, I don't know what's going on. What is he doing spending his time in the off season? Massage parlors, that's weird.
Oh, man, I don't know. I know there are some places that will give you happy endings, and apparently it's not going to the right place.
Did Robert Kraft do that?
Go to the right location. You won't be in trouble.
Apparently, he thinks every location is the right location. He's just going and swiping his card and think he can do what he wants. But yeah, the NFL definitely not slowing down.
But what does, like, I can see Deshaun Watson, you know, like, I'm a national champion. I was a top draft pick, this and that. What does Justin Tucker say? I kicked a 65-yard field goal.
Or he could just tell him, guess what? I'm a football player. And tell him your name, just don't tell your position. Hey, women aren't going to do the due diligence. They just know the check is there. He's coming to us. We know that the check is clearing. That's it. I don't know what a kicker can tell anybody. I remember Tom Rowan, who played, I believe, for Denver. He was one of those 400-pound benching punters that you could just look at and think that he's actually a linebacker. So, man, we'll be just for the Denver Broncos.
I'll kidding aside, man. If he did do things like that, he's just another POS, man.
Yo, you know what? Anytime you get down like that, that's exactly what it comes out. If one person is, he is too. The rules don't change depending on the person. So Justin Tucker,
Maybe that's why he was missing so many field goals throughout the season. Like
so much
that
on his
shit
mind.
brain.
Yeah. He had a lot of things on his brain, man. And how about Aaron Rodgers talking about, first of all, the Jets made it clear they don't want him back, and obvious reasons. He's old and he hadn't done anything for the Jets. But he even went to the Jets to plead and ask to get one more season. Are you serious? Bro, he didn't want to leave. I thought this would have been a good opportunity for him to say, you know what, let me get the heck out of here, because things weren't exactly great for him. The offensive line was awful. I mean, the running game was almost non-existent. I mean, man, it's just, I don't know.
As poorly as he played, I don't see how any contender would want anything
that's
to
what I'm
do
saying.
with him. If you're Indianapolis, you bring him in to work with Richardson. I don't know if he would want to do that, but you know what? We're gonna start Aaron Rodgers and Trent. You be his understudy.
You should have just brought him into Carolina. Let him deal with Bryce Young, maybe something like that. Andy Dalton. Come on,
Bryce Young started playing well at the end of the season.
He did start playing well towards the end.
Too late to bench him again.
No, not bench him, but at least have somebody on
the
the
roster. If you bring in Aaron Rodgers,
he's going to want to start. Yes,
right. Aaron Rodgers ain't coming in to hold the clipboard and wear a visor.
Yeah, just like when Derrick Rose went to Memphis, he wasn't going to be a babysitter for John Morant. He let that be known out the box, and that was that. But I don't see anywhere he could go right now, because he doesn't. It's not like he's going to sell tickets. See, with the Jets, he got all of that attention for that first year that he came. I remember the offseason, I just couldn't wait. And then when the injury happened, I just hoped that it was just that one thing, and the next season just get it together, because that defense was in place. The defense did not play lights out this past season, and he played even worse this past season. And Breece Hall, I mean, I don't know how he even got the yards behind that line that he had gotten. So I don't know, but the Jets let him know, thanks but no thanks, and that's it.
Yeah, man, I said the Raiders. Maybe the Raiders might show some interest.
You know what? The Raiders probably would be that organization. Looking at the quarterbacks they had, Gardner Minshew,
right?
Aiden O'Connor, I think it is O'Connor, and now you have and now, yeah, right. We don't even know these guys anymore. Just a bunch of names other than Gardner Minshew, because I rock with him. But he going out he's a California. Well, I'm about to say he's a California guy. So what? They're in Vegas. It's close enough. I keep thinking they're out there in California. But the Raiders would be an organization. He's not selling tickets, first of all. He's not one of those players that are selling tickets. Just ruin careers. This clown here. His career.
Why does he just come and join you on screen?
Leave him out of here. Come on, Al. Comedy hour. Shoot, this thing is almost an hour. It's comedy hour coming in. The link is already in there. So he wanted to waste time to come in. He could. But he'd rather just throw rocks from outside. But anyway, well, boxing this past weekend. A little bit of boxing. Keyshawn Davis gets his first title. People were expecting it anyway. These days you have these champs that are kind of not champs, but fighters that they're the protected fighter. They're the house fighter, and they're being guided towards the championship. So there's not even a real mystery there. After 13 fights, he had himself a championship opportunity. He fights Dennis Banachek from Ukraine, and he gets the WBO lightweight title. And a small venue, being in New York, the theater, which used to be the Forum. But anyways, they're in the small part of Madison Square Garden. The theater's inside Madison Square Garden, so you're still going into the building, but it's the small one where they have the Golden Globes at. But he gets his first title.
Yeah, it was a good body shot. It was one of those where I can't say the dude's name, but the former champ, he went down to his knees and he's looking at the ref count, and as soon as he hit
Dennis
10,
Banachek from Ukraine, yeah.
Yeah, as soon as the referee counted 10, he got up, walked to his corner. He was done. He couldn't fight no more. And I'm sure, I know obviously Keyshawn Davis was happy with the result, but I think he wanted to administer more punishment based off of what happened before the fight. And at the press conference, he was going off on him, telling him he didn't appreciate the gift basket that he had sent him. It had watermelons and bananas.
Bro.
And he was like, "What the hell?"
Dude from Ukraine, and he's coming with something like that. Come on.
Yeah, and he's he's telling him, "I'm just gonna fuck you up for it. That's all. I'm not
Well,
mad.
kept his word.
It's racist, but I'm not mad. I'm gonna just fuck you up for it."
Kept his
And
word.
yeah,
And like I was saying, now he's a lightweight champ now, and Tank is still down there. And will they fight? Will they not fight? Tank's talking about this as his last year of boxing, which I don't believe. But hey, I'm not even going to act like it's a possibility. It may be a year in which he stops boxing on a regular basis, which is not even really a regular basis anyway. But then he'll come back because, well, boxing is boxing and boxers are boxers. They've been doing it forever. Too much money to be made. Too much of that adrenaline that comes when those fans are interested in seeing you fight. But another boxing match, Jack Catterall. Is it an upset or not? He lost to Arnold Barboza, who was undefeated, and he lost in a split decision at home, by the way, in the UK. So that's a surprise there in that regard. So that means he legitimately lost. And it's a surprise because he was looking to get in some sweepstakes fighting bigger name fighters, Tio Lopez and probably Ryan Garcia, whatever the hell he comes back. He was interested in doing that, but he gets stopped by Barboza, an American. Just came over there and won a fight.
Now you mentioned Teofimo Lopez, and I was going to talk about this anyway. He calls out Terrence Crawford, he calls out Ryan Garcia, he calls out all these guys, and then he's fighting somebody that no one ever heard of
and lost. But Arnold Barboza was undefeated, or still is undefeated, and he did fight Regis Prograis. We know about that. And then he fought that highly anticipated fight against Josh Taylor. That was competitive, but it was pretty clear that Catterall had the upper hand in that fight, and he thought he was going to move on to bigger, better things, and was stopped
I'm
in his
talking about
tracks.
Teofimo Lopez.
No, I'm talking about Catterall.
I know, but I'm talking about Lopez.
Oh, so I mean,
you went back.
Okay, but Lopez, I mean, he's calling out.
But then he doesn't fight a big fight. He's calling everybody out, and then he doesn't even fight Rolly. I mean, at least fight somebody.
Everyone's punching back these days.
I'm just saying, fight somebody.
Well, looking at I was hoping, especially in the beginning of the year, with it happening the way it did with Benavidez and Morrell, young fighters finally coming together to fight one another in their prime, or at least close enough in their prime. I think that would kind of be the one that would set the bench. And then, you still have Bivol and Benavidez fighting one another, not necessarily prime fighters, but definitely on a higher level. Those guys immediately fought one another again. As soon as the opportunity was there for those guys to fight the first time, they fought. And then they didn't waste any time. They got right back into the saddle and trying to have this rematch now. Well, we'll have the rematch now. High-end guys.
Those are probably two top 7 pound-for-pound guys.
Easy, yeah. And they go at it again,
right.
Because it was a close enough fight to have that kind of thing. I don't think it was a robbery, but you know what? If someone thought that they got the short end of the stick in the wrong way, and they're having an immediate rematch. I haven't heard anything about money when it comes down to this fight, because these guys, you don't hear too much about money when it comes to these guys. How often do you hear about Usyk and negotiations, or even when the Klitschko's were fighting and negotiations? It was never a money thing that was made public about them saying, I'm not going to fight unless I got this much money. These dudes just fought. James Toney, I mentioned, was another one of those fighters. As many dudes as he's fought, as many fighters as he fought, all those fights in his career, I rarely heard about, if you got the money, I'll be there. He rarely said that. He just fought, and you either heard about what he was getting paid or you didn't. It was never one of these things that he used that money for the reason why he was going to fight a guy or not fight a guy. If there's a video out there of it, I like to see it, because I watched James closely his entire career, most of his career, after the Michael Nunn fight. And I've never heard money being an issue at any point. Now, I know he loves his money. He loves his cigars, but he never made that the reason why he was going to fight a guy, not fight a guy. He just wanted to kick your ass, like he would tell you himself.
No, you'll find him screaming Burger King, Burger King.
Yeah. Got milk. He'll say that, but he wasn't crying about no money. Now it does take money to buy Burger King, and maybe even a lot more money to feed him Burger King. But he wasn't making it difficult. He was ready to rock, man. I want these young dudes, now that Keyshawn has his belt, and now that Barboza, I guess, made a move like this. You want to see these young guys start fighting each other, man. Years ago, I know people keep talking about years ago. That's not going to happen again. You keep talking about these young fighters from years ago. Sugar Ray Leonard wasn't necessarily in his prime. when he fought Benitez. He wasn't in his prime. He was still young, but Benitez won the freaking better at 17 years old. So that dude was already a prodigy in the ring.
Right.
I
he turned pro at 14, was it?
He what?
He turned pro when he was 14?
Yeah, I think it was 14 down in Puerto Rico.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, but he was, and God knows he was a prodigy because it wasn't back in the day when you could just fight anybody and they'll call you a champ. He came and fought and he won, and you saw his talent. I mean, I just hate that the situation he's in now, part boxing, probably part lifestyle, and just part happenstance. It's just a bad situation for him right now. But man, I mean, he gave a lot, and that's what the boxing game know. People who go into boxing, they know these possibilities and the way things may end up. We just heard about a fighter just 2 weeks ago, passed away from boxing. It's a dangerous game. You're not guaranteed to come out, when you come out of that ring alive at least, every time. And these guys know that. They don't even want to tell anyone to tell them. So I just want to see the younger guys take more risks, because if you lose, you still got opportunity looking forward. And they try to blame Floyd Mayweather. He's the one who makes these guys want to sit back and wait for it to marinate to get the big payday. It's not Floyd Mayweather. Hell, even back in the Tommy Hearns and Ray Leonard days, that's what Angelo Dundee did, waited around and let the fight marinate. So they got the money they thought they wanted or deserved. And that fight still happened, though. And those guys were still in their prime when it happened. Now,
marinating is one thing. Waiting 5-6 years, that's another.
That Mayweather deal. Yeah, no, I'm saying as far as Mayweather letting that Pacquiao fight just marinate like that, yeah. But I'm saying like they claimed it was Mayweather who just sits back and wants the highest money, the biggest bid before he decides to fight anybody. If I'm going to fight Robert Guerrero, I want this much. And if I'm going to fight Andre Berto, I want this much. These outrageous numbers for these fights that aren't generating that kind of money.
Well, he did make it more about the old than about legacy and proving yourself to be the best against the best all the time. He can say he fought the most world champions in history, but real boxing fans know it's bullshit.
Yeah,
Andre Berto didn't deserve a shot. I mean, he fought Conor McGregor, and they counted it as an actual boxing.
Yeah, exactly. So that boxing,
and it's on his record. Come on, man. There's questionable names on his record. And you can think
Mike Tyson has Jake Paul on his record.
you can think of a handful of guys that you would have wanted to see Mayweather fight.
Paul Williams, damn sure. I think Paul Williams would have been a serious problem for him. Everything was wrong with that fight. Too tall, too much volume. He doesn't give you that many opportunities to counter, because even though he was easy to hit, but when you're 6'1", throwing those kinds of punches that quickly and that often, and you have some pop, man, you can't be too damn dizzy when you're trying to get that counter in there. And I think he would have caught Floyd a few times.
And I can hear Mayweather lovers saying, man, he would have did this, he would have done that. That's what we expect, but I still would have liked to have seen him fight Paul Williams to
have been an excellent fight. I think
prove it.
Because I don't think, one thing I don't like doing is talk about fighters getting knocked out who have never been knocked out. So I'm not going to say he's going to get knocked out. Now if it was a Julian Jackson kind of puncher, I might just slide over there. But Floyd is a tough SOB. He doesn't get enough credit for his toughness. So he would have still, in my opinion, lost a 12-round decision the same way he was on the fence of losing a 12-round decision to Maidana the first time around. I'm thinking Paul Williams would have done a lot more than what Maidana had done, and might have gotten in a lot more often too, with that distance and that he had everything, long arms, the range, the output. He was just too much from what Floyd has seen, too much, especially at 147, because Floyd slowed down a bit. He became more defensively responsible at 147, and he was a counterpuncher, so he was great at doing that. But Paul made you have to fight back.
Yeah, definitely. That's a fight I would have liked to have seen.
So yeah, Floyd. So that's one of those fights we would love to have seen. Not 130 pounds. He fought everyone who was there. There was no, and I remember back when he was calling people out. He was calling out De La Hoya back then. I remember he called out Genaro Hernandez. He got the fight and ended up winning the fight.
Calling out Shane.
Shane called out Shane. So, and then he ended up fighting about 147. Now him and Shane at 135, that would have been something. Because first of all, Shane would have been younger, and he'd have been explosive, because Shane was just stronger than everybody at 135. I remember Philip Holiday down there being as good as he was, and Shane just ate him alive. But anyway, damn, time just flies when you're talking about sports. That's exactly what it was today, just sports. going from place to place. Now that the NBA now is coming down the stretch because we know the second half leads to the playoffs, leads to an eventual championship in June. Baseball starting back up. College basketball, March Madness, just 2 weeks away. That's insane, but that's what it is.
So no, it's more than 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Oh, well, March is in 2 weeks. March 1st.
Yeah, but actual March Madness isn't to like the 19th.
Yeah, well, you're talking about conference tournaments, things like that. Yeah, okay. That's what I'm saying. That's what they're included in the madness. Conference tournaments.
And for the record, March Madness doesn't start with those playing games on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Oh, no, don't.
March Madness starts on Thursday at 11.
And they expanded that crap to now, what, 69 games now?
Did they?
68 teams? I mean, no, expanded
I don't even tune in.
68, a few weeks ago.
I don't even tune in until Thursday morning.
Yep. So, yeah, I think I can settle in now and start watching those games. The Ivy League is an absolute mess this year. I don't know what's going on. Bobby Emmerich, I don't know how long he's going to keep his job at Harvard. I just don't know. At least the Ivy League gives me something to look forward to in terms of just middle of the pack basketball that can do some upsetting. Not this year. I don't know what's going on over there.
I got to give a shout out to the Husker basketball men's team. I think they were down 24 yesterday to Northwestern. Came all the way back and got the W. So,
oh, really? You know what? They started the season off hot. They started the season off hot.
Oh, they got cold. They got cold.
Because I wasn't following it, so I didn't know where they were right now. So where are they right now? Because they were beating some pretty damn good teams along the way.
I'm not sure what their record is, but I think they're like on a 4-game winning streak. They've been beating teams they weren't expected to beat. And then last night they came back from that huge deficit.
So getting hot, kind of hot at the right time, heading into tournament play, at least conference play, which starts pretty much in March, and seeing where they can position themselves and getting into the tournament. Do you think they have a tournament team? Because, 68 teams. I mean, you could get in there.
I think right now, no, because they were, like I said, they were cold for a while.
Ooh.
They got a lot of work to do. They probably need to finish the season strong and have a good long run in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, maybe they could do something like that.
I don't think they got a shot.
Maybe they could pull off what that Kemba Walker-led UConn team did years ago when they went to the Big East tournament, wasn't expected to do anything, and that dude carried that team on his back.
Ain't no Kemba Walker playing down in
I know that. Kemba Walker, bro. I'll never forget that. The way that boy played. He went lights out. He deserved that being a first-round pick in the whole 9. He carried that team on his back, got the championship. He had a pretty solid NBA career. But anyways, that'll be it for today. We'll be back on Thursday. Thursday is going back to the boxing ring like we did last week. We had our fight last week. We got a chance to watch for the third time Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez, their third fight, and we judged it ourselves, and we came out with Marquez being the winner, who should have been the winner. But the people who matter most did have Pacquiao. He did win his majority decision, and that's what they ran with. So now we'll try another one this Thursday. I think on the ledger is going to be the first fight between Andre Ward and Crusher Kovalov. We're going to judge that fight, so join us then. Be able to sign on and probably score along with us. But until then, deuces.
Peace.